Like your energy is everything. And we know that we become a frequency match for what we want to call in. So if you are in this low frequency state, like fear, anger, apathy is one. If you're stuck in those states and frustration, you are not going to call in the life you want to live.
We don't even realize it. But the average person has their mind going, they don't even stop to think about what they're thinking about
Yeah.
and how they're thinking about it and how that's making them feel.
Embark on a journey to defy time with LMAO, Laughing My Age Off podcast. I'm your host, Erica Kelly, and I started this show because, like you, I'm curious about the secrets to staying youthful as the years go by. Join me as we discover the secrets to slowing down the aging process, exploring expert insights, cutting-edge research, and personal experiences that uncover the art of aging gracefully. It's time to laugh, learn, and embrace a life full of vitality together.
All right, welcome back to the Laughing My Age Off podcast. Today's episode is going to be super, super exciting because we're going to be talking about one of the most important things in our life, whether you are aware of it or not. And it's one of my favorite things to really dive into lately and really learn more about, and that is our energy. I want you to take a moment right now and think about and take a scan of yourself and what is your energy like right now? Because that energy is something that really supports whether you age gracefully or not. And here with me today is Mandie Woodward. She is an intuitive life coach and Reiki master. She helps men and women break down barriers and clear their energy so that they can become centered and aligned. And this in turn allows them to do their purpose work and really step into their own power. She's been in the coaching healing space for over a decade. And in the last 2 years, she's opened her own practice so she can serve in person as well as online. She even hosts a podcast called Courageous Conversations with Lionheart Coaching Company. And she's super busy too. She's also a wife and a mom of 3. So, Mandie, welcome to the podcast. How's it going today for you?
It's great. Thank you for having me. That was a great intro.
It's the microphone. I feel like, gotta like put on the spins here. So first of all, let's talk about, I'd like to understand, like, when I'm listening to podcasts, when they have guests on, sometimes you know the people beforehand, sometimes you don't. And, we met in a spiritual cohort, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is something I've been trying to, I feel like I've mastered physical fitness and diet, but the spiritual part I've totally lacked in, and I just love it. And I realize that it has changed my life. And so I want to allow you to kind of bring in your story. How did you get into trying to help people?
I went to my first Reiki class in 2018, and it was a candlelight yoga. So I went for yoga, and my friend said, she's going to give Reiki at the end. You're going to love it. And I was like, okay, I have no idea what that is. So we did the yoga, and it was like a gentle practice because it's 7 o'clock at night. It's candlelight. It's just supposed to kind of stretch you out and help you, wind down.
Yes.
And then we laid down into a meditation and did the Reiki. And when the teacher came to me and hovered her hands over my head, I felt this undeniable buzzing sensation that was rather familiar to me because I feel as though I felt that energy as a young child, but I didn't know what the hell it was. Like I constantly was a little interesting child. Like I would run my finger over my face and feel how I could feel my energy field, but I didn't know that that's what I was doing. So when she stood behind me and did that, it was like this just world unlocked, and it was the floodgates opened. And when we left that night, I was like, I came home and told my husband, who is not spiritual at all. He claims to be an atheist. I don't know that he really is, but he doesn't believe in any spiritual world or anything like that. I'm like, I know you don't get this, but I'm telling you that was undeniable. I mean, it was something that you just cannot explain away because I know I felt what I felt. And so that was 2018. I continued to get Reiki through like Reiki circles. She would host Reiki circles and I would go once a month to get Reiki. And I ultimately decided to become a practitioner because Reiki can reduce anxiety and depression by 60%. And anxiety is something I've had my entire life, including depression too, but also my kids. Like I have a child that had severe anxiety and I wanted to be able to give it to him. But when I finally did become attuned to be a practitioner, it was also with the intention that I want to help other people with this. I don't want to just have it for myself. I want to be able to give this to my clients and the world at large. Like who needs this healing work? I want to be able to provide that. So that's how I got into it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So just to pause right here, for those of you, again, I didn't know about Reiki until maybe like a year ago. And so for those listeners who are, hearing this for the first time, can you maybe explain what Reiki is and how it works? Because when I looked it up, I just wanted to look it up and see, like, okay, if you Google what is Reiki, Reiki, okay, according to textbook definition, is based on an Eastern belief that vital energy flows through your body. The idea is that a Reiki practitioner uses gentle touch, which you kind of touched about, or places her hands just above your body to help guide this energy in a way that promotes balance and healing. So does that pretty much?
Yeah, that's a good explanation. Not textbook, but like the thing that I was taught that I always repeat is it's a Japanese practice for healing and relaxation. That's point blank. But Rei equals spiritual wisdom and Ki equals life force energy. So we are spiritually guiding. I'm a conduit. We're channeling the energy and it's coming through me, but it is not my personal energy. So there is no barriers between time and space. Like I can give you Reiki right now, you would feel the energy. So it doesn't matter where we are. I can even timestamp it. Like sometimes my sister, I love her, I'm so close with her. I'll say, she'll have a hard day and I'll say, hey, when you close your eyes tonight, just be ready, say, I accept. Because that's all you have to do is set the intention to receive. And I'm going to sit here and intentionally send it to you so that when you go to sleep tonight, you can say, okay, I'm ready. And it can come through. And it really does help someone fall asleep and can help heal on a cellular level. And it is something that's really hard for our logical mind to wrap around because we were never taught this. Like you just said, you only learned about it a year ago, but it's like this. I don't want to say it's been hidden because it almost feels like very conspiracy theory to say that. And maybe it is, but it really has, it's been based on people's beliefs or the things that we've been taught. And this is not something that people have wanted to carry in their belief system. But now that it's being shown, this is thousands of years old. This isn't new.
Yeah.
I mean, thousands of years old. So it's an ancient practice that's just really coming to light, especially lately. I've seen more Reiki practitioners than I ever have before.
Well,
And so,
yeah, that's a good point. And I think for people who are either new to it or maybe you're just, as I do know some people who are totally like maybe similar to your husband where they just don't believe in it. But I feel like anything else, if you're open to it and opening to receive it,
because you can be closed off.
Exactly. You'll be closed off. So you're not going to believe it or you're not going to experience it because you don't believe it. So
well, what's really funny about it is that my husband, as much as we have different beliefs, he is extremely supportive in everything I do. And I was like, after I became attuned to the Reiki practice, I was like, okay, you're up first. And he's like, all right, that's fine.
You should do a podcast on, I know you interviewed your husband, but you should do one just doing the Reiki on him and that would be something to see.
Yeah. Well, the thing is he also cannot deny the tingles and the relaxation he feels when he receives Reiki. I mean,
Yeah.
I give it to him. I haven't given it to him lately, not since like August probably.
Okay.
And I normally would do it more frequently,
And does he
but
want it, or is it something like, I think it's time for you to have a Reiki? Like,
it's sometimes both, honestly. It's
yeah.
sometimes both. It's sometimes like, I'll say, babe, I can see you're really stressed. Would you like Reiki? Or he might be like having a hard time falling asleep. And there's times where he'll be like, hey, I can't fall asleep. Can you
Reiki
give me
wife,
Reiki?
Reiki wife.
Yeah. Then I'll be like this. I'll be almost asleep. I'll just put my hand on his chest and just be like, okay.
You got like this, you're like a superhero, you got this, but you're so in tune. And, I still am trying to struggle to do meditation. And so I feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's almost like, I'm sure your husband doesn't meditate, right?
Well, we did go learn transcendental meditation together in 2017. So he
Oh,
did
okay.
try that and he did not stick with it.
Yeah. And I think that's like with anything, like I don't have a problem working out. I do have a problem with meditation. I don't know what it is. So I totally feel people when everybody's starting these New Year's goals and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay,
Are
I'm
you a
okay.
Manny Gen?
What's that?
Are you a manifesting generator
Manifesting
in
generator.
human design? Do you know your human design?
Oh, no, I don't. Sorry. No. For some reason that came out like in French to me. I didn't because I
Well, if it's not like part of your regular vocabulary.
No, it's not. Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, and I want to, and I don't know my human design. And I know that's something you teach, right? You coach that?
Yeah, I do. I use that in
Then
my
we need to
coaching
get
practice.
one-on-one. I totally need to do that. Maybe we'll do
Yeah.
another podcast on that one.
Yeah, human design is pretty eye-opening, but I was going to say manifesting generators have a hard time settling down. They have so much energy that it's harder to settle down.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds like me.
Yeah.
The whole like go, go, go. And yeah, doing nothing is very hard for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's okay. Sometimes it's just part of your makeup. That's part of your blueprint.
Yeah.
But we do need to. And I
Yeah.
think that's why human design is so powerful and why the Reiki practice is so powerful is because we have those people to be able to guide us to settle. And I feel like that's my biggest role in my work is helping people settle and rest and have peace
Yeah.
and let your cells heal. It's like, let's just zen out for a little bit so that you can calm down.
Sure. And then, so when we're talking about, the Laugh in My Age Off podcast, right? We're trying to educate all our listeners on things that they can do in their daily life to age gracefully. And so with this Reiki, without having a Reiki master, maybe what are some things people can do? I mean, maybe there's something you offer. I know you did, you had a program where I went through where you did this meditation and you're able to transmit. Can you transmit energy? Yeah, you can transmit energy through online.
Yeah, so I will answer that question, but I have to ask, like, how was your experience when you did that? Could you feel settled and at ease? Or was it sometimes it was more difficult or sometimes it wasn't?
It wasn't, I feel like I was definitely better off after I ended it. Like I'm always, like I said, I'm always a go, go, go person. So it took me down a notch for sure. I think I need to be more in the environment too. Like I had things going on and I'm like, I wasn't 100% in that environment where it would allow me to do it. But when I was done, it's kind of like the cohort that we were in with Kathy Heller. It was like, I love it, and I use this and I should have done
Palo Santo.
Palo Santo. Do you use that?
Oh yeah.
I know. It's like I have a whole bag of it somewhere. But so how did I feel? Back to your question is, yeah, I definitely felt more relaxed. I didn't get the buzzing yet. I feel like I need to go through that again and 100% be in, right? It's like you have to be open to receive it. And I don't think I was 100% in it,
Well, and was that your first time? So I asked, was it your first?
Yeah, that was my first time.
Okay, because my clients who have not ever received Reiki, it's their first time. A lot of times it takes 2 or 3 sessions before the waterfall like really.
Yeah, and I totally want that.
Yeah, because I have some that are like, I didn't feel anything. And that's okay. You don't have to feel anything. It doesn't mean it's not working. Now, to answer your question though, I do have free Reiki meditations available on my website. I have one on on the end of a podcast, and I'm going to upload it individually also.
Oh,
But
perfect.
I do individual sessions, and those are extremely powerful. And I'll tell you why, because it's not just the Reiki energy that's flowing. It's two different things happen for me personally, because I can't speak for every Reiki practitioner. For me, though, I am channeling the Reiki energy, and that does its thing all on its own. It's intuitive. It doesn't need me. It just does what it needs to do.
Mm-hmm.
Finds in the place within your body that needs healing and goes to it and does what it needs to do. But for me personally, I have this other channel that opens that is a psychic channel, and I receive information that you need to hear, no matter what that is. Maybe it's a loved one from the other side. Maybe it's something within work, something within your relationship. I will say that only comes through what your soul has given permission. Like, my clients have to be able to say, or whoever I'm doing this with has to be able to set the intention to allow whatever needs to come through to come through. So I'm not going to call you out on something that you don't want seen.
Okay.
I mean, maybe I will because your soul agreed to it, but usually when people open their heart and they open that space, it's okay whatever comes through. It's supposed to come through.
Sure.
So that's what happens for me when I'm in these sessions. And the reason why I feel so grateful that I have that. I've had it my whole life, though. I really have. It's called Akashic Records. Have you heard of that? The gift of Akashic Records?
No.
So Akashic Records are the ability to see past lives, past current life, present, and future of your higher self. So that's what happens is that information comes through. And I have, like, even when I was a little kid, I would have things come through, usually from my mom. Like, I saved her life when I was 8 years old because I told her I wouldn't let her leave the house. I didn't know why. I wouldn't let her leave the house. And she was going to go clean an office building, and a tornado actually came through there and blew out every single window in that building. It was really old.
Gosh.
And she argued with me at the door. Like, I literally stood arms open, like, you're not leaving this house. And then she finally agreed. Reluctantly, she agreed. And then the next day she came to me and told me that. And I remember, like, as a kid, I was like, oh my God, how did I know that? How did I know that was going to happen?
No, that's amazing.
So anyways, yeah, that's what happens.
So you have Reiki meditations that we could download for free. And how long are those? I forget. Are they like 15?
I usually only do about 10, 15 minutes for those.
Okay, so that's totally doable.
Yeah.
And how often, if you were to give a prescription for, Reiki in order to reduce stress in our lives, and to, like you said, this could, help ourselves from a cellular level. I mean, that is super important. We're talking a lot about that in our future podcasts of, like, your mitochondria, your DNA, like that stuff is a cellular level. Like, if you can't protect that, then you're going to age poorly. You're not going to age gracefully. So Reiki, the spiritual side is definitely something, again, I'm struggling with, I'm working toward getting better at. And so how often, I mean, are you saying like every day? Clearly it'd be great to be doing this every day, but at a minimum level.
Yeah. Well, I think every day is great, but it's everybody's different. And so to say every day, I would be a liar because I don't do it every day. Now, I've done it for so long that it sticks with me for a long time now too. So the way when I went to learn transcendental meditation, it's like, if you can't receive Reiki, I still recommend meditation. And there's so many different types of meditation. What's right for you? Is it a guided meditation? Is it a silent meditation? What do you need? You got to play around with it and figure it out. But this is the way my teacher taught me, is if you have a white cloth and you are wanting to dye it a dark blue, you're going to dip it in the dye, like we're doing it old school style, right?
Yeah.
You're dipping it in the dye and you hang it out to dry. Well, it's a lighter shade of blue. It's not dark blue. So the next day you're going to dip it again and you're going to hang it out again. Well, now it's a shade darker.
Okay.
Not quite dark enough though. So we're going to do it again. We're going to dip the cloth again, and then we're going to hang it out again. And eventually you're going to get to that dark hue that you're going for, but you can't do it without a practice, a daily practice or a weekly practice.
Yeah.
So you're dipping the,
Massaging that
yeah,
skill. It's just like working out.
it
turn
really
everything into
is.
working
And
out. It
I
totally
think it's
is.
just as important. And what
Yeah.
you're talking about on the cellular level, I think that's what I really needed to say to you is like the whole purpose of doing this is to allow yourself to get that stuck energy out of you. So when we don't, and sometimes we don't know that it's there. So it's not to anyone's fault, but there's something we call in Reiki, boyoki. And so the Japanese definition of boyoki is flexible. It's one of those words that can mean many different things, but the main thing that it tends to mean in Japanese is sickness of the mind. However, when we talk about it within the Reiki practice, it's stuck energy. And depending on where that is in your body, it will start on an energetic field, like within your biofield, which we haven't talked about that yet, but we all have this biofield that extends off of us. A lot of us know it as our aura. It's the same thing. So it starts there in your energetic field, and then it finds its way to your physical body. So like, for example, I have a client who has major gallbladder issues in that area. And we know the reason for that wound because we've had a lot of sessions together now. But what happened was an event occurred. It was an energetic thing. The energy got stuck there, and now it manifests as pain to where she's having to go to the emergency room or so on and so forth. And so when we clear that, her pain goes away, which was that study that I hit on earlier about, I didn't really say the study, but there was a Harvard study. That's how I got the information of reducing anxiety and depression. But also within that study was you can reduce physical pain. So sometimes I have clients that come to me with this need to reduce physical pain. But what do we know about all of this is it's contributing to your well-being, and your well-being and that stuck energy. The longer it sits there, the more pain you have. The older you get, the more pain you have. Your knees hurt, your joints hurt, like all these things start to ache. But as long as you can go in and heal that, and sometimes you don't get to know what you're healing, you don't know the reason for it, but the Reiki is intuitive. It does it. And it's like, we're talking about Reiki, but that's just the Japanese term for it. That's just the Japanese version of it. There's shamans and all kinds of other people in this world who have done and experienced the exact same thing. It's all the same. It's just the practice. It's a sacred practice, but it's like, what practice? Like Native Americans have their practice. India has their practice. Chinese have their practice.
That's a good point. I mean, we talk about like religion, right? I'm Catholic, so I think I'm pretty sure in the Catholic religion, they kind of look down upon some of this spiritual talk, because this is the only way. And I personally feel like you were saying, we're all part of one universe, whether you're Catholic, you're Buddhist, you're atheist, whatever it is, we're all, like you said, we're all connected some way.
Yeah.
It is a matter of practicing in one certain way. Right. But I really
Yeah.
feel like
And
it all
I
comes down
think
to one thing.
I agree with you. And what's really funny is I went to a Catholic funeral. My grandmother is, I'm not Catholic, but I come from a Catholic family on both sides. And I went to a funeral last year, and I was not laughing, but like in all of the practice, because they were doing the exact same thing. Like
I
they're
noticed that
burning
too.
the incense.
Seriously,
They're
yes.
flinging the holy water. Okay, I burn the incense. I have Florida water. Like it's in Florida water. I think it might be a little controversial in some places because it's something that was used in Africa or the
Flora. I thought you said Florida water because Florida
It
water
is.
is
It's
terrible.
called Florida water. It is not that water. It's Florida water is a water that was used to repel negative spirits.
Oh,
I think it's either Africa or the Caribbean. Like I could have that a little bit mixed up, but I actually think it was. So it's
I
like
see. What do
Could
you
be
use that for? Use it like sage?
clearing energy. Yeah, clearing energy. So it's like,
Is Palo Santo? I don't know much about Palo Santo. I just know my sister Monica actually introduced me to it, and oh my God, I like how it puts me into that zone. There's something
yeah,
about the smell of this wood.
yeah.
Um,
What's clearing? Anything that's of the earth is going to be clearing. And that's
that's
the
true.
thing.
I didn't think about it that way. Why it makes me feel so good. Like,
Yeah, it's clearing and it does have a beautiful smell. I like the smell of Palo Santo more than sage. I like that more than sage. So
me
that's why
too.
I use that all the time in my office. That's why I kind of laughed earlier when you were like, "Do you use this?" I'm like, my nub is like this big." I'm like,
I got
"Oh
to find a
God, that
good
was a
quality
heavy
brand. If
session."
let me know if you have one, because I bought this massive one on Amazon, and it's like it doesn't like to light. I think they have too many fillers in it. I don't know
Mm.
if you've ever bought a bad one, but
No, I always go to, I have mystic shops around me, so I'll go to those
oh,
places.
I do have one down the street. I should go. It's not this
Yeah,
far, but you know how
yeah.
Amazon is. I'm like, I need my Palo Santo.
Yeah, it's so quick and easy. And there's some like small shops on Amazon, so they might be able to.
Yeah, I just got to be more picky. I was like, oh, it got like this massive bag for like $10. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, no, it's probably still good.
Um, so you mentioned something when we were talking pre-show that finding your purpose, this all contributes to living longer. So, in your coaching, do you kind of help people? Obviously, help people with the Reiki, their own story in life, and maybe it needs to change, and maybe you're helping people transition. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So like my sessions are like this. We start off by talking, and I do step more into like life coach Mandie at that point. Although I don't really like to call myself a life coach anymore because there's a lot more intuitive stuff that happens within it
Yeah.
than life coaching. But there are some practical, tangible tools that life coaching offers us. So I will hear them out, listen, we'll talk about whatever their struggle is. We'll talk about their goals, what they're wanting to achieve. And then at about 45 minutes in, we move into Reiki. And this doesn't matter if we're in person or virtual. So at 45 minutes in, we'll do the Reiki session. And I'm usually doing Reiki for 20, 30 minutes. It just depends on how much you need. And then after that, I will share what's come through. I like to encourage my clients to journal or write out what came through for them. Sometimes nothing. They just are relaxed in like this Reiki drunk state is what we like to call it. Like zoned out and I need to go take a nap basically. And then that's when we wrap up the session. I'll give some homework sometimes or give some things to think about, things to work on. But my whole purpose is to help break down those blocks, clear out that whatever your flow. And we know that we become a frequency match for what we want to call in. So if you are in this low frequency state, like fear, anger, apathy is one. If you're stuck in those states and frustration, you are not going to call in the life you want to live. You're going to be more in a state of struggle than you're not. And we know that stress and struggle contributes to the aging process.
Yes.
So if you care about that, if that's what's important to you, then it's just like, how can we get healthy mentally and energetically so that we can be in those high frequency states?
Yeah.
So
I love that. Yeah, that's something I learned the last year or two, is the frequency. And I share this with my students in our workout class because we don't even realize it. Like the awareness. I mean, you've been doing it for a while, but the average person has their mind going. They don't even stop to think about what they're thinking about.
yeah.
And how they're thinking about it and how that's making them feel. So
Right.
if you're, like you just mentioned, if you're in, and we can't, and I think this is important to point out, you can't be, there's no dark with no light, right? We wouldn't know the difference, right? So if we would be happy all the time, we wouldn't be happy. It would just be
Right.
the mood.
Yeah. Like
Right?
that's not the goal, to be
Yeah.
not ever experience a negative emotion. But like, where are we living? Where are you
Yeah.
spending most of your days?
Yeah. 80% of the time, where can you be? Like anything else,
I have somebody close to me, and I don't want to call him out because it's not my story to tell, but I'll say I have someone close to me who is not old, like 50s,
Yeah.
but they live like they're 80. And it's
I think we all know
because,
some of those people.
yeah,
Yeah.
because there was a diagnosis years ago for lung disease, blood disease, like all kinds of stuff. And instead of facing that, changing the diet, doing exercise, working on mental health, it's been, I want to die. Why haven't I died already?
Sure.
And so they really, and everything is negative. The news is on 24/7. Anytime something happens, it's like you can share your joy with them, but they're going to point out what's the flaw in what you just said. Like they're looking for the negative. And you're right. We all know somebody like this, but like look at their health, look at their
Sure.
well-being. And what would happen if, okay, so don't start exercising right. Don't start eating right. But how about we just get your mind right?
Right.
What could happen? Chances are then you are going to start exercising. You are then going to start eating right. Like it all feeds mind, body, soul. It all feeds into each other. And
that's why I wanted to bring you on, because like we talk about food, we talk about, exercise, movement, but the whole spiritual and the brain. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is part of the brain too. I mean, you're taking
all
a moment to think about, that getting to that subconscious. And I know we could probably do a whole thing on that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because
But
that's your subconscious real is 95% of your brain. Only 5% of your brain is conscious. And we have between 60 and
I know,
90,000
isn't that
thoughts a
crazy?
day.
Those percentages are crazy because the
Yeah.
average person doesn't realize that or even think about that.
Right. And you don't realize the repetitive thoughts that you have. So we have
I know.
60 and 90,000 thoughts a day, and most of them are the same.
Yeah.
So,
and I catch myself telling that to people. If someone's telling me the same thing or their moods are the same, I'm like, you're developing this pattern. I find myself almost like preaching what I'm learning because I feel like people need to know. Like
you
stop
have to
yourself, take a moment to think about what you're thinking about. Like right now, the listeners, what do you feel like now? And even like, I'm not a big journaler, but if you're new to this whole, concept that we're talking about today, grab yourself a journal and just kind of write down some of your thoughts 3 to 5 times a day and just catch yourself. I feel like.
Yeah, that's one of my first actual homework assignments that I give to new clients is we're going to set an alarm, and every couple hours I want you to check in because we have to take emotional inventory. Like what is your day looking
That's a good
like?
idea.
So that person that I'm talking about is like, if we were to check his emotional inventory, he's bankrupt. He doesn't have any positive in there. There's only negative. So yeah, how can you start to shift that? You have to see it first. You have to have awareness that that's what's happening. Yeah. And a lot of people they don't have the awareness. They don't have the self-awareness and they have no idea.
And then you can't fix it, right? You can't fix what you don't know. And now for a commercial break. So I want to ask you, when is the last time you had a great tasting protein bar that wasn't full of garbage? I want to tell you, I gave up on protein bars a while ago because of this reason. They were either 1, full of garbage, or 2, they just tasted like cardboard. Okay. So I was really surprised when I was introduced to Nugo bars. All right. So Nugo bars are bars that don't contain bad oils, no sugar alcohols, and they taste really, really good. Okay. And they have protein to boot. So I love these protein bars when I need like a quick fix, when I need something sweet that will give me some satiety. Honestly, these are really good with a little coffee in the morning. Forget the donuts, forget the coffees. Just take a bite of these. And now for a limited time, if you go to nugonutrition.com/fitandpretty, that's NUGO nutrition.com/fitandpretty, FITNPRETTY, you'll get 50% off 12 bars. So normally this box is $30. You'll get this entire box of 12 bars that includes 2 dark chocolate pretzels with sea salt, 2 chocolate chip. You get 2 peanut butter cup. You get 2 mint chocolate chip, which is my favorite. You also get 2 dark mocha chocolates, and your last 2 is going to be your dark chocolate almond with sea salt. So it's limit 1 per customer. Hurry while supplies last. Okay, so everyone, we are going to have a special treat for you for this broadcast. And Mandie is nice enough, we're speaking about Reiki. She's going to be able to take us through a short meditation with Reiki practice. Now, I do want to warn you, if you are driving or running any type of vehicle, make sure you just pause this, save this for, a later time when you can do this in a relaxed environment. And I do want to emphasize that because, as I mentioned during the broadcast, I feel like you need to be in that environment to really be open to receive this. So, Mandie, do you want to start us off on how we should get prepared for this?
Sure. Okay. So I will say I'm going to send Reiki, but if you are not open to the Reiki energy, that's okay. You can just meditate with us because I'll do a guided meditation through this. And I recommend being comfortable, because if you're not comfortable, you're going to be focused on it. If you're sitting in a chair that hurts your back, you might just be sitting there thinking about your back hurting the whole time. So I definitely recommend getting to a place where you feel comfortable, having a cozy blanket. You could go grab a notebook real quick because sometimes things come through, ideas pop in, and you want to be able to write it down because you'll forget about it. So, okay, I'm going to say, let's go ahead and couple deep breaths together. So we're going to go in through the nose, out through the mouth. And this is really just to help ground us and get us centered before we go into the practice. So a nice slow inhale through your nose.
We close our eyes too. Does that help?
Yeah, I will get you there, but
Okay.
It does help. You're welcome to close your eyes first if you want, but go ahead, close your eyes, get relaxed, and let's go in through our nose and exhale. In again through your nose. This time I want you to exhale through your mouth. So we're going to go in for 4 and then out for 8. So go in and out. And again, in and out. Now, I want you to just see yourself walking through a beautiful forest. Notice the trees and the plants and the animals. And with every step, you can feel the energy of the earth entering through the bottoms of your feet. And as you walk along, you can see the sun shining through the trees. And you feel this peace and this harmony with the life around you. And as you continue walking, you notice that it's getting lighter up ahead. And that you are coming to the edge of the forest. And as you leave, you see this beautiful river in front of you. This is no ordinary river. It is the river of life, here to guide you and replenish you. And you see these beautiful flowers growing alongside the bank. And there's a path that takes you right alongside the river. Allow yourself to go for a walk on the path. And as you walk, you eventually come to a space where you can easily enter into the water. Allow yourself to go in and just float around. Because this is the river of life, you can breathe underwater. And there is this holy fire that burns on the surface and deep, deep in the water. It is not hot. It is not a fire that burns you. It is a fire that replenishes you. Allow yourself to float along and swim. Allow the river to guide you. You can ask the question, what do I need to know? What do I need to see? What do I need to heal? And you're welcome to stay in this space for as long as you feel called. But if you're ready, you're welcome to also come back to your body, wiggle your fingers and your toes. Slowly open your eyes. I would invite you to journal anything that came through in your Reiki meditation, and know that it's not up to us to figure it all out. So if something comes through that doesn't quite make sense, that's okay. We don't want to overthink it. Just kind of let it be, and it will come to make sense when it's supposed to. How do you feel?
Like I wanted you to keep going.
Yeah, I
And
know.
I've been through a longer one with you. So, yeah, for me, I just felt like, and I think everybody has their own right journey through something like that. But I felt like I was like 5 years old in that when you were talking. It was weird. It was like, I don't know if we're supposed to be in the phase we're in now in life. I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer, but I felt like I was 5 years old and like in the forest, almost like by myself. I was comfortable, and typically I'm not comfortable by myself. I'm a twin, right? So it's like I always feel like I have to be around people, but I felt like totally calm. And so I enjoyed that. Thank you.
I would definitely note that. And there is no right or wrong. And we'll tell you
Yeah.
that. And what comes up for you is important. I will say I can feel that you definitely also needed longer Reiki. I felt that. I can feel your energy. And I think just because we're doing it in this manner that we are and on a podcast, I didn't go too long there.
Sure.
Normally would let somebody sit a little longer, but also I think any Reiki is better than no Reiki. So it's like, it's good. But I definitely can feel that you could definitely use, and we all can. It's not a dig or anything like that. It's
Oh,
like
sure.
I know I probably need it after the holidays and being
Yeah.
around
How do you do
family. It's
Reiki?
like,
Do you go to somebody, or you just like, how do you get your fix?
I mean, I need to be able to go see a practitioner more than I do. I definitely am going to make that a priority in this year.
Yeah,
But I
because
give
you
myself
need to get
Reiki a
comfortable
lot.
too.
Yeah. I give myself Reiki a lot, but it's not, I would argue that it doesn't feel the same. It's different when you're being nurtured by another person. And it's not just the Reiki practice, it's the whole thing of being cared for and being seen by someone. And so I have a therapist, so I'm cared for and seen in that. And I have coaches, so I'm cared for and seen in that. But yeah, I don't get enough Reiki. I didn't this past year. Normally I am way more on top of it.
Yeah.
But I only received Reiki a handful of times last year. And that's not good. I'm not practicing what I preach.
No, I mean, I totally get it.
Mhm.
But I want to thank you and listeners. Hopefully, you've got a lot out of that, just like I did. And if you want more of it, which, I think we all need, Mandie, let them know how you can, how they can find you, or how if they want to work with you. I'm also going to put this in our notes so you guys don't have to write this all down. But go ahead and just shout out any, even on Instagram, your Instagram handle too.
Yes. So I have on my website, lionheartcoachingco.com. You can go to the contact section and fill out the form if you want a one-to-one. If you just want to get some goodness or information from me, like on the regular, then you can just follow me on Instagram and also the podcast. I talk a lot about energy healing and surrendering and all the things that go into that on my podcast. And I interview other people who have had not always spiritual. It's not always spiritual interviews, but we'll have conversations about hardships that people have come through or businesses that have been built. So it's a good little mixed bag. But yeah, I'm going to be doing a master class in the next month or so, and I'll have a coaching cohort coming up with a group thing. But that's where I'm at right now.
Perfect. You've got a lot to offer and to help change lives. So thanks again. And we might have another one because I know there's so much to to everything that we only like totally got the top of the icing on the cake here. So
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
yeah, and I enjoyed it. I loved our conversation. I feel more relaxed than I did. I was trying to hustle to get all this stuff set up just to have our little program here, and I feel like, hey, I feel so much better. So that's how Mandie leaves you. She feels you more centered and more whole. So I just want to let you know that that's what you did for me today.
That's like the biggest compliment, though. Like,
it is. And I need more of that. Okay, Mandie, we will see you hopefully next time.
Awesome. Thank you so much.